We live in an unfair world. Despite several thousand years of civil progress, we still don't seem to be able to apply the principles of equality and social responsibility with an even hand. Visionaries, prophets, and religious leaders have strived to help people understand the value of cooperation and mutual support, almost as long as people have gathered in settlements. Yet we still compete, we still fight, and we still run our societies as hierarchies. The COVID-19 pandemic was a wake-up call for disability campaigners. In supposedly civilised countries, disabled people suddenly found ourselves thrown back half a century in terms of the supports, accommodations and rights we fought so hard for. Services suspended, accommodations forgotten, medical appointments cancelled, and the most hurtful indignity of all, our very right to life cast into doubt as doctors added "do not resuscitate" clauses or DNRs to the medical records of millions of disabled people. Disability can affect anyone at any time. If we're not born different, disabilities can be triggered by ageing, accident or illness. As we get older, the likelihood of us being disabled increases sharply. In the UK, less than 10% of children are disabled, around 20% of working age adults, and nearly 50% of people of pensionable age. In the last Autismatic video, I talked about ableism. This week, I want to discuss a consequence of society's ableism that is often mentioned but frequently misunderstood. What exactly is internalized ableism? In disabled communities, both online and offline, people can have very different opinions on the causes, consequences and solutions for almost any aspect of their shared disability. When people disagree strongly, it's not unusual to hear the phrase internalised ableism, yet it's surprisingly rare to see it used in its correct context. It's often used as an accusation, to imply that someone is a traitor of some sort, or a collaborator with a perceived enemy. It splits opinion, shuts down debate, and silences people who already find it difficult to be heard. I talked last time about how hierarchy inevitably leads to prejudice. As soon as we entertain the idea that some people are more important or worthy than others, the potential for prejudice emerges. It's destructive when it comes from outside, but when it emerges from within a community, it can be devastating. Prejudice may travel up or down the same social ladder. Someone may feel superior because they're less impaired than others, making them think of themselves as more normal. On the flip side, someone else may feel that their higher needs give them a larger stake in the community and higher status because of it. There's also a few who dismiss people in the community as weak for seeking support, or aggressive for wanting to change the status quo. They often believe they have overcome or redefined their disability. I've seen people in all three of those positions call each other internally ableist, yet none of them are correct. It is not internally ableist to think of yourself as higher up the pecking order because you see yourself as only mildly disabled. It's just ableist. End of. It rests on the assumption that less impaired is better, thereby reinforcing the marginalisation of disabled people. It's a punching down form of bias. The individual who feels their greater impairment raises their status isn't internally ableist either. Their view of their place and their validity is described as reverse ableism. Their view is that community status is determined by being more disabled rather than less. It's punching up, but it's still bias. As to those who think they have overcome their disability and don't need the support for others, that's displaced ableism. It happens in the autistic community amongst people who falsely differentiate between high and low functioning or mild and severe forms of autism. Blind people make distinctions based on whether they have sufficient sight to read large text or are a braille reader. And people with chronic illnesses like ME and fibromyalgia create murky divides between those who manage to work and exercise over those who can't. Another misappropriation of the phrase is, ironically, when it's used to describe someone who uses the wrong terminology, or whose understanding of the symptoms, characteristics, history, or treatments of a disability is incorrect or out of date. Heated arguments erupt over the use of old, outdated terms or colloquialisms that aren't as innocuous or medically accurate as they once might have been. The names of conditions change in medical parlance more often than you might think. Even in the half-century I've been around, I've seen numerous disabilities go through huge changes in both understanding and the language we use to describe them. Words and phrases go out of fashion, get changed for political reasons, or are updated to reflect new knowledge. Using the wrong language unintentionally isn't internalized ableism. Usually, it's no more than naivety or plain old ignorance. Those of us who are active in disability communities are often heavily engaged with the scientific, medical and academic discourse. We're advocates for ourselves and in varying degrees for other people like us, so it pays to keep up to date. Given how readily those in authority can be to discount opinions if they contain inaccuracies, it's strategically essential to keep on top of the latest developments. Most people new to a disability community are not remotely as clued up as people who've been part of it for a few months, let alone years. It doesn't help that for many disabilities it can be hard to obtain detailed, up-to-the-minute, unbiased information, even online. Great swathes of it are locked behind publishers' paywalls or hidden behind membership restrictions, meaning only the most well-connected of us are fully in the loop. Even then, the scientific narrative itself may contradict the lived reality of the people it's written about. Then there's the jargon, the in-jokes, knowing who's reliable and who's not, which scientists are in favour and which have been disgraced, or which aspects of the history of that disability are controversial. It's a steep and intimidating learning curve. When someone has just been diagnosed or they're at a low point in life, they often reach out to their specific disabled communities for the first time. They're looking for hope and kinship, support and understanding. They're trying to find friends who understand their world. If they're greeted with anger at the words they use or their understanding of their disability is labelled as harmful and internally ableist, it's unlikely to encourage them to engage further. They feel attacked by the able world outside and rejected by their own at the same time. Ignorance is everybody's starting point, and we must remain mindful of that. More likely, the use of outdated language is nothing more than force of habit, pedantry, or a misunderstanding of the rules. Some people think they're only allowed to use the terms they were originally diagnosed with and need to be re-diagnosed before they can update their language. None of what we've discussed so far is internally ableist. It's ableism, but it's all directed at other disabled people. Internalized ableism is a tragic consequence of the broken world we live in. It's a horrible, corrosive thought process which does most of its damage to the person at its centre. It's something we should both be afraid of and ready to combat, but not because of a threat to ourselves or our communities, but because we care about those who may have fallen into its clutches. Internalized ableism sets in when we start to believe that the lies and vitriol of the true ableists might be right. It's thinking that we deserve to be poorly treated because we're disabled, or that if we weren't disabled we'd be better people, more worthy people. We might even become obsessed with the idea of cures or eugenics and lash out at those who seek equality and acceptance. The internalized ableist knows that we're treated badly, but accepts it as inevitable, maybe even the natural order of things. It's the repercussion of a life of disappointment and abuse. They don't have the will to fight back anymore and just accept the crappy hand they've been dealt. It is defeatism, self-loathing, hopelessness and apathy all bundled up into a tidy little package of soul-withering emotion. If someone is genuinely internally ableist, we shouldn't be telling them that to spite them or arguing with them in public. What they need from us is our friendship, our support and our understanding. They need to see that it is possible to fight back, that we do have rights and that we have as much value as anyone else. We can help them by showing them that they don't need to be fixed to be complete people. They need our strength and our compassion to demonstrate that hope still exists and things can be better. We are right to see ableism and all its manifestations as the enemy, not only of disabled people, but of civilization itself. But for the internalized ableist, their enemy is within themselves. Thank you for watching. Next Wednesday, I'll be talking about hidden disabilities. If you want the channel to continue to produce high-quality content, you could treat yourself to some exclusive Autismatic merch, or support it directly by joining up on Patreon and access exclusive patrons-only content. You can also subscribe here, or watch another video over here.